moving on to the next movie, we have Captain Marvel, which actually just came out not too long ago in March of 2019. The directors are Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. And right now, it has grossed $1.1 billion, which is incredible. That's a lot for an independent superhero movie. Yeah. We were talking about this earlier. In the MCU, it looks like only 8 movies have grossed over $1 billion, and 3 of those movies are independent films, like independent superhero films. And
I mean, most of them are films that are released immediately after an Avengers movie, which makes sense because people see the Avengers movie and you kind of get the whole bandwagon effect where people for a time are more interested in Marvel movies, so they'll go see the next one and then it kind of dies down after that until the next Avengers movie comes out.
But this one is kind of in a rare case because this came out right before an Avengers movie.
It did, but it also came out, it was the release outside of Ant-Man and the Wasp, it was the release after Infinity War.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp,
It wasn't a sensational film, but they definitely were trying to ride the tailcoat of Infinity War. But Captain Marvel is still in theaters right now, so this isn't actually the final number of its world gross. So that's kind of cool. I mean, she's going to make a lot of money off of that. Also, if I'm correct, this one is the only Marvel film directed by a female.
Probably.
I think I'm pretty sure that that's true. Mm-hmm. It's co-directed by a male and a female, but it is directed by a female, which I think is fitting because the whole movie is centered around women empowerment. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, talking to some of my friends here, they definitely don't agree with having those kind of political statements in a film, especially a superhero film. But I think it's the perfect place to make those kind of political statements.
I don't see any issue with having a powerful female figure.
I don't either. I think that it's a perfect place to bring in a powerful woman, especially after Black Widow was not didn't feel like a woman empowerment character when she was first introduced.
No, yeah, and she was first introduced in Iron Man 2, and she really didn't.
She definitely was very much a side character who needed a man for support.
She's really always been a side character.
Yeah, and she always seems like she needs somebody else to help support her.
Well, because she can't do anything. She always, like, they're having, like, these alien attacks, and she's over there shooting a pistol at them.
Yeah,
and, like,
she doesn't have any superpowers. Like, I mean, to be fair, Iron Man doesn't have superpowers, but he has ridiculous technology. She has really good martial arts training and some pistols.
Which is like, yeah, it makes her a good spy, but like, she's not really a great superhero.
Yeah, even Hawkeye is...
Like, I love her character.
Yeah.
I love her, but like...
Even Hawkeye's a cooler superhero.
I mean, yeah, but he's not even that cool.
But he's not even that cool. And, yeah. So, I think Captain Marvel also has... Going back to Captain Marvel, because it's... yeah. But Captain Marvel has the Tesseract in it as well. And you have the cat that eats the Tesseract and throws it up on Nick Fury's desk. And that kind of is like how the Tesseract gets back to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
Where you see it in the Avengers movie, whenever they're testing on it. So I really like how that movie sets up that... Captain Marvel was not my favorite Marvel movie at all. I've said multiple times I don't think she really had that great of a character arc. I like her, but she's just really, really powerful, and I don't know how okay I am with that.
It was very much like they wanted to squeeze in... They wanted her to be an established, powerful character in time for Endgame, and they only had one movie to do that.
Yeah, and I think that she could have used a little bit more time.
Yeah. Well, because most of these other movies, like before the first Avengers movie, they had... Like, Iron Man had 2 films, and then everyone else had, like, a film to, like, kind of prepare, like, really do, like,
except for, like, Hawkeye and Black Widow.
I mean, Hawkeye was in Thor, and
Black Widow was in Iron Man 2,
so, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah. And so everybody kind of had establishing...
and it was, like, a movie that was just to establish the character. Yeah. This was kind of, like, tying a lot of things together. It wasn't just about her.
Yeah, because it was definitely, like... her...
It was not just establishing her story, it was establishing her and also finding a way to tie her into, like, all of these things that
and it was also, like,
established.
establishing, like, Nick Fury.
Yeah.
It was establishing, you have Agent Coulson and Nick Fury's relationship, which made me really want to go back and watch the original Avengers movie after I saw that because I was like, I really want to see Coulson again. I love Coulson. I think he's awesome. I really think that this movie has a lot of potential to make a lot of money just because of the characters in it, because Brie Larson is awesome.
She's great.
I love her. And I think that a lot of women everywhere really support her and definitely think that she's a figure for them. But not my favorite Marvel movie, definitely. But let's move on to Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie. One of the best films, I think, in contrast, I guess. This was released in May of 2008, and it was directed by Jon Favreau, who also directed Elf, by the way.
That's crazy.
And
that
is
he directed
in Elf
this movie.
as well. He's the doctor in Elf, too.
I mean, he put himself in these movies, too.
Yeah, I know. I think that is funny how he puts himself in the movie. I think it's funny how the same person who makes, like, a silly Christmas movie makes this, like, epic superhero film.
Like, kicked off this, like, insane franchise.
That, like, casted the most perfect role in the entire MCU.
Yeah.
With Robert Downey Jr. being Tony Stark. I think that he is the most perfect for his role.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
It's hard to distinguish the actor from, like, the character.
He acts like Tony Stark.
He does. Like, that's just, like...
Like, it's crazy. And I think that this film is, like... It was the first Marvel film to be released in the MCU. And I think that it is rightfully one of the best films that they released. And the fact that it stands up this long by itself is incredible. By far.
The fact that they now have, like, all these, like, they have aliens, different dimensions, all these, like they have, like, magic, and they have infinity stones and all these things. And the fact that this first movie with a guy building, like, a tin suit in a cave, like, still stands up against that, like, really speaks to how good of a movie it is. Like,
the topic of the movie itself is just unique when it comes to a superhero film because of how it deals with terrorism, and it deals with him being a character that at first doesn't care what side he's on.
Yeah. Because
he's just selling weapons to whoever wants to buy them. And
it really takes him seeing the effect that it's having to really make him care that, like, oh, these weapons need to be in the right hands, or they don't need to exist.
That's kind of a complex story for a superhero film, I think, personally. And
then definitely, it kind of paints him as the bad guy. He kind of realizes that he is the bad guy. And that's a contrast to the very, like, clear good guy and bad guy that are normally in these types of
and going
movies.
back to a perfect casting role, Robert Downey Jr. is the exact same way, because before he became an actor, he actually had several, like, arrests, and he was into, like, drugs and stuff, and now he's one of the most celebrated celebrities of all time because of this role as Tony Stark. And what a better character arc than to be the exact character arc he went through in his actual life.
Yeah.
And that be his character arc for Tony Stark. I think that's insane. I think that's awesome. And then in direct contrast to this movie, you have Iron Man 2. Which came out.
I liked Iron Man 2 whenever I was growing up. I liked Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2
I now recognize that it is not on par with some of these other movies, but I still like it. Like, it's still nostalgic for me. I like this movie.
So Iron Man 2 came out in May of 2010. So this is 2 years after Iron Man. And it was also directed by Jon Favreau. And it made almost 624 million in the box office, and that was about 100 million more than Iron Man made in the box office. But I think that's because, in better terms, Iron Man had gained some clout since his first movie. Like, when it first came out, I don't think people expected it to blow up this much.
Yeah.
And Iron Man 2 was leading up to the Avengers movie, so
I mean, this movie, I mean, it has its issues. Whiplash is not a great villain in this movie. he spends too much time talking about his bird, and it's weird. And but they have Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, and he's great in this movie. He is great in this movie. He is so, like, it's so easy to hate him, and, like,
I just like Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell's just a good actor.
general.
He just did a good job with that. There's the scene with him, like, dancing across the stage with, like, these, like, massive weapons coming up that he's trying to sell to people, and, like, it's so funny, and it's so ridiculous, and I really like it. I don't like the entire plot line with Tony Stark having the issues with the palladium in his arc reactor, because then they very quickly, and they're acting like he's, like, gonna die from this, and then in Iron Man 3, he just gets the entire thing taken out, and gets the shrapnel taken out, and it's confusing as to why he would allow himself to die over the palladium core when he could just take it out and still use the Iron Man
When that
suit.
was an option the whole time, why wouldn't he have just done that in the second movie? Because you spend the whole time thinking that, oh my gosh, he's gonna die.
Like, he's going, like, this is going to cause a serious issue.
And then it's just totally irrelevant.
He's literally getting, like,
movie.
these, like, streaks, like, going across his entire body.
Yeah.
And, like, it ends up just being completely frivolous, and I don't appreciate that.
Not a huge fan of this movie.